What's up, everybody? Welcome to Most Likely to Day Drink, a podcast where we sip on a few things and speak on a few things. I am Terrence, and here on this podcasteration journey with me are my two co-hosts, Keita and Will, who you will also hear called Love Lady at various times during this podcast.
Yes, sir.
And let's find out what's up in the cup. Keita, what you drinking now?
Well, I actually have a whiskey-based cocktail. There was a little more in there, but things happen.
We had a few technical difficulties to drink up a little bit of that. Just to keep it real.
It's called something, but it's really
okay.
good. I really don't know. I can't remember. I found it on Pinterest. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like a New York whiskey sour, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tune in to episode 2 and we'll have confirmation on exactly what Keita's sipping on today.
Yeah,
Will, what's up in your cup? What's up in your cup, Will?
This is just a bourbon whiskey to remain nameless at the time until we can get some sponsorship. But
Yay, yes.
Yes.
It's actually new to the Jackson market, but it's something that I originally found in Kansas City, but has kind of migrated down south. So keeping an eye on it right now, but pretty good so far.
Very nice, very nice. I am also drinking a whiskey. One of my go-to favorites. Keita and Love Lady both likely know what it is I'm drinking, but again, names are to be revealed once companies decide to start throwing us a few coins. All right, so sit this. Our topic today is relationship anarchy. Shout out to Love Lady actually for bringing this topic to Keita's and my attention. We'll see where the conversation goes. We don't exactly know how deep we're going to go on this, or how far the topics will go. But we just kind of like to go stream of consciousness, see where the discussion leads us. But since it's Will's topic, I'll let him kick it off, and we'll just jump in from there.
Sure. So I actually got this from a friend of mine. It's a link from a friend of mine, actually a couple. That I know, and they showed me or shared this to me with me. So the whole concept of relationship anarchy, or RA, is really looking at yourself, what your needs, wants, and desires are, and really customizing and crafting your relationships to fit that. So it basically is going against the normalization of the norms of a traditional relationship. So it could be anything from, poly relationship where you may have friends that you actually date. It really is custom built to kind of fit your needs. And so I brought this to the group to just kind of talk through it and talk about it. A lot of it has to do with being able to communicate. Not having a hierarchy. So you could be in a relationship with someone, but that relationship may not take precedent or hierarchy over your friends. So it's again, really customized to be something that you want it to be. So just wanted to kind of get thoughts about really what that sounds like to you guys and really what you think about it.
Well, I made some notes.
I'm putting the glasses on.
Yeah, because it was. So one thing that I will say that I disagree with in the article is that relationship anarchy differs from is it polyamory? Is that polyamory? Yeah. I don't feel like it's that much different from polyamory. That's just my opinion.
I felt the same.
But I don't feel like it's that much different. While I agree with some of the points that the author made in the article, I think it's really easy to say, yeah, I'm down with relationship anarchy. Yeah, you know me, but in reality, I'm not sure if I could really put this into practice and stick to it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, we all, everything always sounds good in theory until you put it into practice. And then it's like, you know what, this ain't really working the way that I thought it was going to work. The
Right.
other party is not really doing what I want them to do. And that's usually my problem. The other party doesn't do what I want them to do. That's
Right.
that's that's typically my issue in
Yeah.
relationships. I recognize
Well,
not
well, then
only.
you, in this state, you get out of it. You don't even stick around for it if it's not. And that's the thing about it. If it's not working for you, if it's not edifying like your needs, wants, and desires, then it's not the relationship or the direction that you want to go.
Mm-hmm. But see, on that note, I kind of feel like just because it's not working and going the way that I want it to go, I mean, is that I feel like there's no room for compromise with relationship anarchy, because it's like, oh, well, this is not working the way that I want it to work, so let me just jump ship,
Right.
Mm.
So you mentioned communication earlier with relationship anarchy, and I'm pretty sure all three of us, two of us are single, one of us is married. But before that marriage happened, I'm pretty sure all three of us have had situationships. We've gone into situations where we said, "Hey, this is what I want. This is what we're gonna be. Are you down for that?" And the other person may have said, "Yeah, cool. We're just friends with benefits, right?" One person
Yeah.
catches feelings, and everything just shifts. You know.
Well, see, but I think the reason why and it shifts because I'll say this. So when my wife and I were dating, and you all heard this story about there was a point in our relationship where she thought we were further along than where I was. But a part of that was because, um, I don't think we communicated. We just went with assumption as opposed to having consistent, constant communication about where we are in this and what is this and is this fitting your needs? Is it fitting my needs? What are your needs? And so with that, while we were dating, it was a point in time where she thought we were, I guess, deeper or further along in the relationship than where I thought we were. And so one part of this relationship anarchy concept is that you have to continuously check in and communicate and be open to have listen and really consume what the other person is feeling, thinking, wanting, and making sure that aligns with where you want to go, and if it aligns with what you want and need and feel. So for me, it sounds like it's one of those things where it takes a lot of maturity, more so than just saying, "Hey, I'm just trying to smash as much as I can with as many people as I can." It's more of a matter of like you gotta really have communication and relationship with the people that you're bringing into your circle, and that may or may not be where people are in terms of being able to communicate at that level that consistently and being able to communicate their feelings effectively and clearly to other people.
Right. And not only does there have to be communication, but as I read the article, one of the other sort of foundational assumptions is that there will also be consent. So the type of communication that you're having has to be one where the person has enough information about where you are to understand what it is you want, and then be able to consent and say, yes, I understand where you are. It matches where I am, or I can come up to where you are or bring you down to where I am. And we have an agreement that is in alignment with each other so that when we both say yes, we know exactly what we're getting. And I feel like current state, there isn't a whole lot of that because, you know, people, we speak in code to each other. We say things, you know, we say things are okay when they're really not okay. You know, we say one thing with the hope that someone will ask a follow-up question.
You can go to the cigar lounge if it's okay. I mean, it's okay with me if y'all go ahead and go to the cigar lounge.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Take your ass on. But
Without your friend, it's okay. Go ahead.
yeah.
Every
Oh, she took the
woman
glasses off.
knows.
Glasses came right on off for that one.
Every woman knows that, and man should.
Yeah.
If a woman says it's fine, go. It's not really fun. Don't go.
Don't do that. Don't do
But
that.
the onus is
No,
on
you
the
should.
onus is on the person with the feeling to communicate that feeling. It is not on the person receiving the communication to interpret what you mean.
Yes,
Go on and light me up. Go on and light me up. I'm ready.
Anyway, back to relationship anarchy. So you said that it's all about each party giving consent, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's how I read the article. Yes.
I give consent all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with that. And then, you know, at midnight, you know, I'm out riding doing drive-bys. Like, I know this thing got another at his house. You know, I just don't. I think relationship anarchy. It takes special people, two special people, 3, 4, 5 special people, according to this article, for relationship anarchy to really work. I mean,
one example I thought was pretty interesting was like you can be, say for instance, you're in a relationship with one person, but you don't want to have kids with that person, but you want to have kids with a friend, and as long as kind of everybody's on board. What, you didn't read that part?
No, I want you to keep talking. Say more.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so like say for instance, I was in a relationship. I'm with my wife, but me and my wife, I don't want to have kids with my wife, but I want to have kids with a friend. Like I could do that as long as everybody was in agreement and aligned with it. That when I heard that, it like blew my, I was like, wow, okay.
Now,
so it's really like one of those things that it could go any kind of way you want. It could be where like you have a relationship with someone or you're with someone, but you all may not live together. Yeah. You all still live separately. I mean, it is really designed to be what you want it to be, which again, in theory, like you said, is cool, but it is so hard to get those norms out of your head of what you think it should be or what you should be doing, that I think it would take a whole bunch of de-engineering and then engineering to really kind of have that freedom of mind to think that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I think we. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I think a lot of times we assume too much.
Yeah.
Which is where the communication comes in. Because I know on my part, I don't communicate the way that I should. Mm-hmm. I'm not always clear with how I really feel and what I'm really thinking. And it's funny.
Yeah,
Bond,
so it would work for you.
Bond, you know what I'm about to speak on. But when you said wanting to have a child with a friend, but not wanting to be in a relationship with that person. So I actually had a friend that I wanted to have a child with. But I did not want to be in a relationship with that person. And we had been friends for years. You know, knew that he would make a good father. You know that I'm going to be a good mother. Let's just have a baby together. We both wanted to have a child, right? And I think in his head, he assumed that I wanted to be in a relationship with him. Because when that situation came up, and we're no longer friends, unfortunately, we're no longer friends. But when that situation kicked up, it completely changed the dynamic of our friendship. And because neither one of us was really communicating with each other. Right. And like I said, he just automatically assumed that, because he kept saying, well, you don't want to be married, and I'm just like, that has nothing to do with me wanting to have a baby. Can we just have a baby? You know,
Right.
like, can we just have a baby? So I've been with guys that I would like to be in a relationship with, but I don't necessarily want to have a baby with you
Yep.
because I don't really want another one of you running around. And that sounds crazy to say that I would want to be in a relationship with you and essentially be with you for the rest of my life, but I don't want to have your baby. I'd rather have this man's baby. But
But I think
So you
that,
sound like you're halfway on your way.
huh?
right.
I'm
I said
sorry,
you
what
sound
was
like you're
that?
halfway on your. I said you sound like you're halfway on your way
On my way to what?
for the relationship anarchy
Oh
paradigm.
yeah. There were definitely aspects in here that I was like, I could really get down with some of it, um, but to have a sexual relationship with somebody, because the person that I want to have the baby with, I didn't necessarily want to have an ongoing sexual relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, it
Heavy.
wasn't like, I got, this guy over here, I like you, I want to be intimate with you. And then I have this person over here, I want to be intimate with him and I want to have a baby with him. It was just going to be a one-time thing, like, or, well, I don't know, maybe not one time because,
However long it,
Yeah,
however long
that
it
first
had to
shot might
take.
not have done
right,
it. Y'all might have needed to
Right,
practice a
yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
He's,
right.
the
So,
bartender still may have lived in the club. You
yeah.
gotta make sure you shoot everybody up.
So, I mean, but to tell a man that, I don't want to have your baby, I'd rather have his,
Yeah.
really? How would you feel if some woman said, I don't want to have you, I want to be with you, I don't want to have your baby, but there's this dude over here, I know he would make a really good father.
But you're gonna be some trash.
But that
I
gets
like you
into
though.
Right.
two of the major and most controversial issues the article raises. One is the idea that, and I do believe this, there is no one person that is sort of a comprehensive list of all of our needs in one person. We get different
Oh
things from
no.
different people,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
have different desires. Many of them non-sexual, but some of them sexual, or some of them relationship oriented, but not sexual, as in the case where you want to raise a baby with somebody, but you don't want to be in an all-in relationship with them. So, and that's why we all have friends. It takes a lot of spreading out
I was thinking the
for
same
us.
thing. That's why we
Yeah,
have friends. Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's why we have friends. And there are very few people that can say that I'm in a relationship that's monogamous and insular and I'm happy. You're not usually fulfilled in that. You need more. We're all multidimensional. We have parts of ourselves that come alive in front of certain people, and then parts of ourselves that are kind of dormant around other people because they don't relate to that part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, you kind of need a village. You need a
Mm-hmm.
village around sort of make you feel like you're at your best. And then the other concept, which is probably where I would hit a struggle if I was trying to adopt this mindset, is the idea of non-hierarchy. Because, obviously we're conditioned to conform to hierarchical thinking from day one. You have your parents at the top of that hierarchy. And, obviously you're not just going to go around telling them like, I don't owe you nothing. I got before, you end up on the floor picking teeth up. So you're not really allowed to even begin to question those things. And I don't even, we're obviously in a different era than we were when we were raised. But I don't know any non-hierarchical families where the parents are not at the top of a pyramid. Because one, they provide for you. Two, they're keeping you safe. They're responsible for things that you can't do for yourself, either legally because you can't contract on your own behalf or because you don't have the financial resources or whatever else to do on your own. So
So
yeah, I
let me
think
ask you this: have either of you all ever been in a relationship where that the whole relationship hierarchy it, like kind of fascinates me. The idea of like the person that I am intimate with or that I have a relationship with is on the same or on equal terms or playing field as my friends or whoever else, where they're not put on a pedestal. or they're not prioritized in the traditional sense.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't like them as much as I've liked some others. I'm just being honest.
What was it mean?
So if you're asking if either of us have ever been in a relationship where we didn't put our boyfriend or whatever on our significant other. Thank you. I was searching for the word. On a pedestal. Yeah. If I am in a relationship and my man doesn't come before my friends, it's because I don't like him as much. Normally, if I'm in a relationship and
in this, he would have to be okay with that. In this scenario.
In this scenario, yes, he would have to be okay with that.
In this scenario, he would know that.
Yeah, in this scenario,
right. Well, yeah, even,
but normally,
right.
In the past, no, he didn't know that. I've
goes back to communication.
Right.
I've canceled plans with a boyfriend to be with my friends, you know, but I am also I consider myself kind of old school, as I am woman to hear me roar as I come off sometimes. I'm very old school and I consider myself a traditionalist. I like the idea of, this is my man and he comes first. Like I like the idea of how can I say this without sounding so when I do get married, I'm definitely gonna be that person, I don't care what you ask me. Oh, let me check with my husband first. Let me ask my husband first. I can be at the grocery store. Would you like to give $1 to St. Jude? I don't know. Let me call my husband and ask him first. Because I just don't know. I can't make that decision without my husband. Like I'm very much gonna be that person.
No, go ahead.
I believe in submitting to the right man. And submit to any man. I believe to submitting to the right man. And I love having that hierarchy status. Like, I want to know that I am it for you. Now, I don't feel like you have to put me above your friends all the time. Like, I just don't. I'm not that girl. If a situation comes up, as long as we can talk about it and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I know we had plans, but it's cool. Like if it were a situation, just throwing something out there, we had plans to go out to dinner and maybe your friends come along and they're like, well, we got tickets to, football game, basketball game or whatever, and if he really loves this team, go to the game. If you got floor seats to the Lakers, go to the game. We can go out to dinner tomorrow. I'm gonna eat regardless. Like I don't want to be that girl. I don't ever want to be that girl. Now if it's just, a situation of, okay, so I'll throw another situation out here. I've been in a lot of situations, Lord help.
The situation handbook over
there. Yes. So I had a friend that I went to visit. Well, actually, I went to where he lived for another reason, but I just stayed with him while I was there, and I was only there for one night. So I get there, and we go out to eat, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm going out with my coworkers because one of my coworkers is leaving. Like this week is his last week." It was like on a Tuesday. And he was like, "Yeah, we're going out. We're all going out, just going to have a few drinks or whatever." And I'm just like, you can't go out with your coworker. He's going to be at work for the rest of the week. I'm in town only for one day. Now granted, we were just friends, like nothing more than that. But I'm just like, dang, you're just going to leave me at your house by myself Why you go out with your coworkers? Your coworker. You didn't say friends. These are your coworkers. That wasn't cool. I'm
Yeah,
like situations like that. That's not cool. Like, and then stayed out till like 1 o'clock in the morning.
and I see that not as an issue of hierarchy. I see that as just basic consideration and respect. Like, if you're coming into town and I tell you that you can stay with me, whether it was my idea or not, I'm going to probably clear my schedule for you and see what you want to do to make you feel comfortable. Unless we truly are not, if we truly don't hang around like that and I'm doing you a favor, and I'm just letting you use my house with no and you know not to have any expectation that I'm going to be spending any time with you. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go kick it with my coworkers and just let you sleep wherever you want to sleep.
No, see, this wasn't that situation.
Right.
This is somebody I have been friends with for years, and I have now realized that the bond that I thought we had, we didn't have. On his
I've heard
end.
the story.
Yeah, that bond wasn't a true bond. I don't know what the hell I was thinking for the last. Okay. Like the friendship that I thought we had for the last 13 years, like we didn't really have that friendship. So that was my bad. But
but I think that was a piece of like in a microcosm that was a taste of a relationship anarchy in that the only component I saw that was missing was maybe again the communication wasn't there, or the trust or communication wasn't there, because in essence he said, yeah, come here, but I'm going to do this again. It's about what your wants, needs, and desires are. And fulfilling those things.
This wasn't communicated before, though. This was communicated after I got.
That's what I said. The communication wasn't there. So, and that's the biggest key to this thing is like you have to have that open, and you have to have that clear communication of what your desires are, what your feelings are, and then also be able to receive and be empathetic to what the other person needs or has, and making sure those things align. And if they don't align, then based on this, you move on and you find someone that can fit that puzzle piece.
I agree. So. I agree. So listen, let's look at some of these points in this article. There were 9 different points that the author made. And the first one was, love is abundant and every relationship is unique. You can love multiple people without it detracting from the love that you feel for each of them. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Except when it comes to a romantic relationship.
Right.
Well, see that. So then you don't agree with it.
I do agree with it, except for when it comes to a romantic relationship.
Right, but the whole premise and I know you know this, underlying relationship anarchy is that it's all drawing from the same pot. There's not a different pot for the romantic relationship. It all throws in together. Everybody gets a little spoon and dips out the amount of love that's appropriate for that relationship.
Sanitary. That ain't sanitary.
We all bring our own little dippers though.
But we don't know where your dipper been.
Oh.
That ain't sanitary. That's not safe serve certified. Okay.
I'm scared. I'm scared to open that door too wide on the first podcast.
I'm just saying that's not safe serve certified.
Yeah, we're not saying that love and sex are the same things though either. I mean, when I talk about love, that's the
same thing.
Yeah.
No. You know, back in the day, and oh my gosh, I can't wait until this will be a completely separate podcast based on the video that Love Lady sent us last night. Back in the day, I feel like I feel like I practiced relationship anarchy back in the day, but I just didn't have a term for it. I mean, because there was a point where there were about 4 or 5 different guys that I was talking to at the same time. Now, one of them I liked more than the other. but more than the others. But they all brought something different to the table, and I wasn't having sex with all of them. You know, one of them gave me the attention that I needed.
3 out of 5. Never mind. Keep going.
One of them gave me the attention that I needed. The other one of them gave me a different type of attention. Gave me a physical attention that I needed. One of them gave me the conversation that I needed. The other one, I don't really know what he brought to the table. He probably didn't get a whole lot of time. I don't remember, but I do remember this one particular period where I was talking to I remember at least 4 of them, and I remember this because I got caught in the same place with 3 of them at the same time. That's why I remember.
So you were like a real live. She Got to Have It, huh? So you were like the biopic.
Yeah, but without the sex. I didn't. Yeah, without the sex. Yeah. I was gonna tell a little bit more of that story, but if somebody watches this, then they'll know I'm talking about it. But I did get caught.
So number 2.
Huh? I
said, so number 2.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to save you from yourself. That's all.
No, yeah. So anyway, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like even if you lay it all out on the table and you're like, you know what, this is how it's gonna be. This is what I want. This is also what I'm doing. This is also who I'm talking to. I just always feel like there is a little bit more love for one than the other. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think love comes in all different types of, there are different types or different intensities of love. And that shows in how you connect with someone, and an outside observer looking at that, or the other person that you have a relationship with will look at that and say, well, that's missing from our relationship. Why don't we have that? Mm-hmm. I think there's that innate desire to compare and contrast what you see with somebody else versus what, you yourself have. And I think what an element that's going to appear in all of these different sort of subtenants of this theory is that there just aren't going to be a whole lot of people that have dealt with themselves enough to truly give up that control and that interest that you have in having your relationship look just like whatever you think is the best relationship out there. Like whatever your model is for an ideal relationship, I think you're always going to want to compare it to that. And you're always going to want someone to say, you need to fill this void.
Yeah.
And those things that I see happening over here that are not happening here.
And there was one key part of this that they said a lot of people get trapped into is, in order for this to work, a key component is not feeling like you have to have that validation or be validated. And I think we're in that society where, especially with social media, like that is like what social media is all about, is to be instantly validated or have that immediate gratitude. Terrence, is that what I'm saying?
Gratification.
Okay. There you go, that part. So instant gratification.
We're gonna give a little hotline to say what word is William looking for in the next few podcasts.
Wording is hard.
We love him.
Well, the glass is almost empty too. So, but
mine is
at that rate, like I said,
for another.
But that is a big. But you got 2 cups. What you got? Just got one on standby.
It's about 2 cups worth in here.
Oh, gotcha. All right, duly noted.
We long-winded, so I knew what I was doing.
Got it. So that is the biggest part is not having to feel like you need to be validated in the relationship or by the other person or people in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
So are we lying to ourselves though when we say that we don't need validate? Are we ever truly free of that desire?
I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to myself because I need validation. I'm not even going to
Yeah.
front. I need validation.
Yeah.
I need validation even with my friends.
Of course, of course.
I mean, y'all see how I flipped when y'all went to the cigar bar without me when y'all were here a few weeks ago. Because
Yeah,
I'm just like, I wanted to be with my friends.
yeah.
They left me. So that means that they don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
So far from the truth. But that's
Absolutely.
where that's what it translated to.
Actions speak louder than words.
No, 1856 speaks louder than words. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're welcome.
Ah.
There had already been a couple of no, there had already been a couple of shots scored by that point.
Number 2.
Yeah.
And I think we just
Hold on, we ain't gonna get through that.
Yes, we are.
no,
Yes,
no.
we are, because we're about to fast track this. So number 2,
Okay.
and we really have already talked about this: love and respect instead of entitlement.
Yeah.
We talked about being validated, and so we're just gonna skip on to number 3. Find your core set of relationship values. Focus on what you want and need when it comes to how you will treat and be treated by others. I have learned in these past few years that not everybody has the same heart as you.
Of course.
It's been a hard pill to swallow. But you really do have to treat people the way that you want to be treated. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because I think karma has also whooped my butt a little bit these past few years, because I've been through some situations and then had to go back and look and be like, dang, I kind of did this person the same way that this other person did me, and now I know how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
So then I had to go back and reassess, like, how do I want to be treated and how am I treating other people?
Right.
Same thing goes into relationship anarchy. I feel like if I were to try to put relationship anarchy into practice, I still would want to keep the other person's feelings in mind,
Yeah.
Sorry, that cherry.
That liquor hit.
I know. So, I mean,
Get loose with it.
Mm-hmm. So realizing my core set of values, I always want to take the other person's values into consideration. Sorry.
She get lost there. Number 4.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Anybody else want to touch on those core values?
I'll just say this, and it'll be quick. But so I got married when I was 24. Had a kid when I was 25.
That is young.
Yeah,
That's pretty young.
I couldn't imagine being married at that age. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But so I learned a couple of things from that, and to make that, I guess, to put another layer on it. When we were married, we already had a child, so it was like we've never had a situation where it was just us as a couple without children, and then we had another child or what have you. So 2 things. One, what I tell my 2 boys now is, and my wife says the same thing, is be selfish in your 20s. And we say that to say, find out what you like, what you want, who you want to be. Learn yourself and learn what your values are, what you want in a relationship, what you want in a person or people in a relationship, what that looks like, so that you can, if you want to settle down or if you want to be with someone, you know what you're looking for. And I think when you are at a young age, and especially in your 20s, you're still trying to figure yourself out to the point where,
Oh, yeah.
you know, you don't necessarily know what you want or what you want in a person. You have an idea. You may think that,
Yeah.
but you may not have seen it in action.
Yeah.
So I think, especially at a young age, like this whole relationship anarchy concept is something that I would I would try to explain and walk through with like the younger kids, like, hey, be selfish, like
Right.
know what you want and who you are, and understand your wants, needs, and desires before you try and, you know, jump into something like long term.
Of course. I think the self-awareness component is missing, and that's so hard for people in their 20s because I think each one of us could probably say we didn't really have good insight into who we were, how we treated people, how we responded to things, and what that was based on in our 20s. And I don't even know if we had tried, if we would have been very capable of doing that. I feel like it took me until just before my 40s to even start having a really good idea of like how I was moving in the world and who I was, what I really wanted, what my fears were, how to express those, how to be vulnerable with people, like all those things that would be required to be a successful relationship anarchist who actually knew himself well enough to say, this is what I want.
Mm.
But that could just be me. That could just be me.
All right.
Number 4.
What's the next one,
Number
Keita?
4.
4.
Number 4. Heterosexism is rampant and out there, but don't let fear lead you. Let me read that again. Heterosexism is rampant and out there, but don't let fear lead you.
So let me speak to this one.
Okay, let me say this. Be mindful
Yeah.
of the way in which heterosexism can corrupt your ideas about what is acceptable within relationships.
Right. I feel like I can speak to this one most specifically because, you know, being the gay person in the group, obviously I was raised under a different set of norms and I operate in the world under a generally different set of norms than the two of you do. And for those who do not know, the idea of heterosexual, whoa.
Yeah, that's why I had to read it twice.
Let me have another drink to straighten this language out. The idea of heterosexism is that heterosexual ideas are customs are normative. That is what we should all be doing. And it's particularly strong for women and folks that are not straight males. So the idea of what your role is more carefully carved out when you're a woman or you're a person who is not a heterosexual male than it is if you are a heterosexual male. And I think the way that plays into the article is there are many people who are sort of afraid of themselves in terms of admitting what they like, what they desire, who they desire to be with, who they desire to experiment with, who they desire to just have singular or, you know, a relay of experiences with. I know in my time I've encountered lots of men who were very much into having sex with men, but they were not going to be public about that. And they never were, as far as I knew. And then there were those men who were open about having sex with men, but they still had lots of insecurities they felt like it needed to lead in the direction of, I'm going to get married, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have everything that looks like I've assimilated into all these heterosexual norms. And then there are other people at various places on the spectrum. So I think the thrust of that point is, if you feel like your desire to be open and your desire to have these different types of relationships that speak to different facets of your personality, and that leads you to having an experience that society wouldn't necessarily condone, don't be held back by those things. And even as a gay man who's always known that I've liked and wanted to have relationships, sexual and otherwise, with men, I had to overcome that as well, because I had to be willing to be open about that fact. You know, even though my family, some of my friends, some of my, you know, acquaintances, people that I do business with, all those folks might not agree with it, or they might assume that they know what it is just based on the label that I carry around every day. Like people assume that because you are gay or bisexual or transgendered or whatever label it is you carry, that they know exactly what the innermost workings of your mind are and what the details of your life are, and they judge based on what they think they know.
All right. And I think the point you hit on kind of rolls into the next one, number 5. Build for the lovely and unexpected. It said, be spontaneous in your connections. Don't feel held back by shoulds or the ought tos.
Right.
So I think again that kind of just feeds into
what that translates to me is it's okay to have one night stand.
That's yes, yes, yes,
mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
Drink
and I think that's perfectly healthy. In fact, I think it's kind of necessary. I think it is necessary to learn how to have, hear me out. I think it is necessary to learn how to have sex without attachment. You are not meant to date and have a full-on relationship with everyone with whom you have sex. Sometimes it is just about the exchange of pleasure, or just you getting pleasure and bouncing, or them getting pleasure and bouncing, and you remembering to tell everybody how they did that.
Pants off, dance off.
Right? Oh, we might need to look at that one again.
Have you not heard that? Horizontal mambo?
That was God's protection. I ain't really need to hear that one. I don't know.
Okay.
Number 6.
Fake it to yes. Go,
lady. You were about to say it. Go ahead.
I know, and then I'm sorry that the beginning of my sentence or the middle of my sentence interrupted the beginning of yours.
Y'all can tell this liquor is starting to hit right now.
Number 6. Fake it till you make it. I don't really have anything to say about that one. That didn't really resonate with me.
Well, I feel like in a sense we are, though. We're all faking it until we make it because, we pretend to be other than who we are to get by in relationships. So we pretend to be other than who we are because we have things we haven't yet dealt with. The situation we were talking about earlier among the three of us with the cigar bar, I think is an illustration of that. We have times where instead of just coming out and saying how we feel and being totally vulnerable, we sort of do something else with the expectation that people are going to just interpret what it is we need or feel based on that.
Yeah, one of the things it says push through and go for it nonetheless until you feel it feels second nature to you. So really just do it until it feels normal to you.
Yeah. Make a habit of being vulnerable. That could go in a couple other directions too, but we ain't gonna do all that today.
Yeah.
Number 7, trust is better. Choose to assume that your partner wants the best for you. This is the one that I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
I do not trust anybody.
Then this ain't for you.
Relationship anarchy?
Correct.
Is that what you're saying? I don't think relationship anarchy is for me. I think just a friend with benefits is for me right now. Because I'm not at a place where I can trust you to be in a relationship with you. A friend with benefits, yes. Because I don't have any attachment to you.
Right.
Do you? When I feel like I want some company, hey, you up?
Hey, big head.
Hey, big head, you up? Like, that's it.
So that's the thing, really. Big head. That's really a thing.
No, it really is.
I've been off the field for a while, so you gotta enlighten me.
Yeah.
But why we gotta insult me to get my attention? It's like, first off, I know my head is big. Start with some stuff I don't know.
But then we don't even really take it as an insult because I've had people to text me and be like, "Hey, big head," and I'd be like, "Hey."
Yeah.
They like, "What you doing?" I'm nothing. What you doing? So it's not an insult. Yeah, I don't take it as an insult.
I might be in my feelings that day. I was like, I don't want to be reminded that this thing is substantial.
Number 8.
Oh gosh, I've changed through communication. Is that what it is? Yes, change through communication.
Yep.
Be in continuous dialogue with your partners. Do not rely on sensing what they think or feel. That is also an
Yeah.
issue that I struggle with because I assume, because you
Mm-hmm.
said this, that
Amen, Walls.
Church. Ooh, let me get back off in this drink. Excuse me.
I assume
All right.
that because of what you said, or because of what you did, or the way your body shifted, that this is what you mean.
All right. So number 9.
Customize your commitments. I didn't highlight anything under there.
And I think we do that anyway. I mean, I think whether or not we're expert communicators or not, I think that we do customize our commitments. And I think that we do sort of attempt to come to some sort of agreement on what the relationship's going to look like. So I don't feel like that's all that uncommon.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to that what I was saying with the whole concept of, do you want to have children together, or are you looking to have it with some other partner? Even if you want to get married, do you want to live together, or do you want to live in separate homes? So kind of the playing field is open. It's just a matter of, are you and the people you're in relationships with aligned with that, and does it fit your needs, wants, and desires? So yeah, it's like I said, it's like you're curating. I mean, it's you're curating your relational life, whether it be friends or intimate others, and you really make it whatever it is you want it to be. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a I won't say it's a crazy concept, but it's definitely something that was eye opening, and I thought was definitely worth discussion.
I would agree. I think that, and honestly, I think there's more to unpack in this. So we could continue the conversation in a later episode, or we could leave it there. Either way, wow, okay. So whether figuratively, all right, we're gonna need to try. Whether figuratively,
hey Tom,
or actually,
I think what TV was trying to say.
Whether figuratively or actually, yeah, some of the words I got to creep up on once you've had a few sips.
I don't think TV knows what Tom is.
Right.
I don't think he knows what hey Tom is.
TV's open to learning. Whether figuratively or actually, our cups are empty. We want to thank you guys very much for joining us on this inaugural journey of Most Likely to Day Drink. We expect this to be a journey that continues. Hope that you'll tune in to catch us on future podcast durations. Until then, this is Terrence.
Wait, hold on. Make sure if you like this podcast, make sure you subscribe, click like. Also find all of our social medias at Most Likely to the number 2 Day Drink on Facebook, Instagram. Twitter is something different.
But, yeah, we still got to talk about that.
Yeah, we still have to talk about that one. Twitter details to come.
Yeah, so find us at Most Likely the number 2
and YouTube.
And YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like this video. We would love to hear your feedback. I know this was like a rough draft of what Most Likely to Day Drink is going to be. We had some technical difficulties. Hey Tom, yeah, Marquita messed up. Can you help me? We're gonna
have to come up. We're gonna have to come up with another day at a time. We might have people coming after us.
Right. Hey, Jerome. Can you help me? Anywho, okay, Bond, I'll let you.
Yeah, with the Benedict, reach out and touch. Oh, sorry.
No. Nope.
I can't do that. Can't do that. Okay. Well, as I was saying, I'll give the Most Likely to Day Drink benediction then. Thank you guys so much for joining. Really appreciate you being a part of this conversation. As Keita said, if you enjoyed the podcast, please like us, please follow us, please help us establish our following, which we anticipate will continue to grow with these conversations. Until next time, Keep sipping, keep speaking, and we will see you next time.